Hey guys, today I want to talk about a topic relating to conversations. Now, obviously on the internet, you're going to be having conversations with a lot of different people. And as someone who does content, I end up interacting with people on the internet a lot. And when you interact with people on the internet, you usually find that there's a lot of people who have differing opinions, different ways of thinking, and different beliefs of importance of different things. Now, I want to start off by saying that there are two sides to this. There's always two sides to this because there are facts and there are opinions. Now, here's the thing. People are going to get upset when people say something that is not factually proven to be true. People are always going to be upset about that. That's not going to change. But the reality is that facts aren't really as important as you would think. People overvalue them. And I think that people need to be more open to opinions and be more aware of the existence of opinions being a thing, and that what people say isn't necessarily fact, it's opinion. People need to be better educated on this, because I feel that a lot of people aren't very well educated on what an opinion actually is, which is kind of weird to say, but it's true. People really don't have a clue about what an opinion actually means, right? About what is an opinion and what isn't. And it's really simple. Is someone saying something that is clearly biased, or is clearly something that they just simply believe? Are they saying something as fact for a reason? That's the first question you need to ask. Because usually, if they're saying something as fact, it's because they need to say it as a fact. Because we live in a society where people value facts more than opinions. When people say something as an opinion, people don't really care. But when people say something as a fact, people suddenly do care. Because suddenly it's presented as a fact. The thing is, it's not wrong to present an opinion as a fact, as long as you don't say that it is a fact. That's the thing. Obviously, if you have facts, then people are going to ask for sources, people are going to ask, where did you find this at? Because people are skeptical. But the thing is that ultimately, people need to be a little bit more open-minded about beliefs and opinions. Because what we see isn't always what the truth is. What we know isn't always what the truth is. Sometimes you have to be skeptical. And I understand that having some skepticism is not healthy. I understand that you've got to be careful with skepticism, because sometimes skeptics can be wrong and that can lead to problems. But it's very rare. Usually, the people that are skeptical tend to be correct. I'm not saying that this is always the case, people, but I'm just saying that usually it is the case. Now, why is this the case? Well, because we live in a world where people are conditioned to lie. If you watch my previous video of me playing Wipeout Fusion, I talked about how YouTube is full of liars, and that people are lying to get to the top, because the YouTube game encourages people to lie to actually get success. I'm not saying that they have to lie as in it's not just outright lying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that they have to portray an image of themselves that isn't 100% true. There is truth to it, sure, but there's also a lot of untruth to it. There's always some untruth to everything. And without skepticism, there's no way to truly detect those truths. And that's why I've always been a bit of a skeptic. And I've always been skeptical, and I've always been the way I have been. It's not because I'm trying to spread misinformation. It's because I'm trying to open people's minds, and the only way to open people's minds and get people thinking, ow, this is a new track for me, by the way, oh yeah, this is the reverse one, so yeah, I'm terrible at this one. Like, the only way to truly prevent people from, like, the only way to truly get people prepared for, like, the truth is to be skeptical. To keep these thoughts of skepticism around. Because that will keep people open-minded and keep people thinking. And people that think and are open-minded are generally smarter than people that don't think and aren't open-minded. Now, people will often criticize me saying that I'm wrong. And this is where it ties into it. Because the reality is, being wrong about things is not really, like, it's not really a huge issue at all. Like, if I was wrong about something, like say Valkyrie Profile 3 comes out and it's a good game, and I know I made a video called Valkyrie Profile is Dead. What would my response be? Would I feel like I cheated everybody? No. Would I feel like I misled everybody? No, I wouldn't. What would I feel? Well, I'd actually feel happy for one, because we're getting a good Valkyrie Profile game, but two, I would also be kind of like, it would be kind of like one of those situations where I would feel that me calling out all of the bullshit and saying it how it is and being the skeptic would essentially have been the thing that prepared people for the worst. I don't know what this camera angle's doing here. I did not change this camera angle to this, but I was trying to find the reverse button. That's what I was trying to do. But, like, it's to prepare people for the worst, and I think that's important. And there's a lot of things out there that are just... Oh, hang on, this is the end of the race, isn't it? That's not good. I keep forgetting a lot of things in this game, like... I keep forgetting, like, how this game works sometimes. Like, it's hard to tell whether I'm on the first lap or the third lap, and I thought I was on the second lap. But I think that a lot of people are so quick to fact check and, like, disprove people. And while, as I say, there have been many times where I have been wrong, and the thing about it is that it does upset me to find out that people have said that I'm wrong, especially as a YouTube content creator, because you'll find that as a YouTube content creator, you will be wrong a lot of times. You will be. At least in terms of facts, because fact checking takes so much time to do, and even if you try and fact check and you go out of your way to fact check, there's always going to be those moments where you miss things. And when people call those things out and call you out on being wrong, it doesn't help you in the slightest, and it actually just makes you feel bad about everything you've done, and it makes you reflect on things, and it sucks because you realize that the video that you spent so much time working on has now been made completely irrelevant. And this has happened to me many times, and I've had to make like quick fixes which look absolutely terrible. There's been many times where I have reflected on my own work and actually realized that I was wrong through my own thoughts, and it's made me change my work a lot. But the thing is, like, the message I was trying to give with my content was still the same message. It's just I had to cut out certain parts that were wrong just to satisfy those people that have to fact check everything, and just so that I'm not misleading people. But ultimately, I don't really think that many of those things were going to be problematic anyways. Like, for example, there were things that I said in my Bujinga review that I reflected on and was like, no, this isn't actually really all that true. And I'm like, but how do I write it out of the video? Well, what I did with my Bujinga review, and I try and do this with a lot of videos, I really take advantage of music in games, like, because obviously, like, I use video game music in my videos, And I feel like there's an art in how you utilize that game music to create like emotion in that regard. I mean, as I say, like good artists steal. Like that's just the case. And given that fact, there's an art to utilizing other people's work in a good way. And because of that, I really wanted... Oh, what the fuck? Who's this? I really wanted to make... I really wanted to like make something look really nice. I really wanted to make the video sound really good. Like I really wanted to make have the music sound good so that I could essentially leave an impression on people. And I always tried to do this with my videos back when I was doing the highly edited stuff. Like the music was very important to me, and how I would utilize that music really mattered. So when I had to make that edit, I felt terrible because I had to ruin something that I got right and I was really satisfied with, and now it doesn't look satisfactory anymore because I had to make a quick fix and it looks like I bodged it. And yeah, that's because I wanted to prevent misinformation, and I'm still hurt by that to this day. Like I really am. This is a boss race or something. Oh, this is... Some of these dash pads are not helping, really. They're really not. Oh, God, keep grinding against that wall. Oh, we've got turbo there. Oh, we did it. There we go. But... the thing is... And we got a new team, okay. The thing is that... Hopefully, we... Oh, we got a new team, right. Oricon. We'll try this. No, it's not that one, is it? Yeah, I want to try this track again. But yeah, like, I feel that in a lot of ways, and I've seen this many times, where people, particularly in the gaming community, and just, I think in every community, like, people are, and just general, people are so quick to want to point out that other people are wrong. And they just seem to absolutely relish in the sensation of proving other people wrong and saying that other people are wrong. But the thing about it is that those people, like, overvalue being right, and they overvalue facts and stuff like that. They're not, those people tend to be very close-minded. But open-minded people wouldn't think that way unless they had a really good reason to. Like, the thing about it is that when people say something and say, like, and they say something that sounds completely ludicrous, instead of me thinking that's just ridiculous, that's rubbish, I'm actually now suddenly interested, because they've just said something that I'm just like, hold on a minute, this guy might be onto something. Instead of completely discredit them and saying that they're wrong, I'm like, hang on a minute, this guy's saying something interesting, I want to listen, I want to hear what this person has to say, you know? No, this vehicle isn't very good, and it's not as good as Fi's are. Definitely say that, it's very slow. I don't think I'm going to win in this one, I'm just going to be honest. It's definitely more sturdy, but that's not really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that can actually win races, so yeah, definitely not the correct vehicle for the job, gotta say. But I'm just practicing here. See, I made the wrong choice of vehicle here, and I missed the pit trip, so it's going to get blown up anyways, which isn't fun. So yeah, we've basically lost this race. We're going to pick the thighs out again because this vehicle sucks. Yeah. Yeah, can we just quit and just use a different vehicle for that one? But that's the thing, like, people obsess over being right, and they're so quick to, like, prove other people wrong or want to prove that they are right and that everyone else is wrong, and it's just like, why? Like, why make such a big deal about other people being wrong? Now, there are situations where it is important to call people out, but those situations are rare. And when those situations happen, like, obviously, like, it's a rare occurrence. It's not going to happen all the time. So, when you get situations like that, where people are like that, then obviously, you know, it's going to end up leading to that. And usually there's a way of saying it, rather than just being mean about it. Just instead of saying that you're wrong, just saying, have you considered this possibility? You know, and I think that's the best way to deal with a situation where someone's saying something wrong. Instead of telling them that they're wrong, instead of that, show another possibility and tell people, what about this? Have you considered this? Have you considered the possibility that this could be a thing? And if you do that, then people will actually be like, oh, hang on a minute, no, I haven't. Maybe you're onto something. Whereas if you call people wrong and say that you're wrong because so-and-so, you're just basically being annoying and you're just upsetting people and you're not really helping people get better. You're not helping people, you're not even helping yourself, you're helping no one. You're just basically just saying, haha, I'm better than you because you're wrong, I'm right. That's basically what you're saying. And everyone just wants to be that guy who just wants to bring everybody else down a peg. It's basically what you're doing. You're just trying to bring everybody else down just simply because they said something you don't agree with, so now you have to bring them down because of it. And make them feel bad because of something that you perceived as wrong that they said. Instead of actually thinking, hang on a minute, there could be some truth to it, or like opening up other possibilities. That's how you have a discussion. Instead of just saying, oh, you're wrong. Like, you can't have discussions by saying you're wrong. It's impossible to have a discussion with someone who constantly tells you that you're wrong. If you have a discussion with someone that constantly tells you that you're wrong, then you need to call them out for it. You do. Anyone who tells you that you are wrong, in any conversation, you respond with them and tell them that there's no such thing as being wrong in a discussion. You can't. No one is wrong in any discussion. There's no such thing as being wrong in any discussion. All discussions have valid beliefs and thoughts. There's always going to be people who believe in ludicrous things. But those people that believe in ludicrous things, they're usually believing in ludicrous things for a reason. And it's because they actually really think that there's something going on. They actually believe it because they've experienced things in the past that have led them to believe it, or they have a hunch, or they have some kind of theory, and there's usually something that has led them to believe that. There's usually something that, like some form of past experience that has caused them to believe this thing. And if people have that, then instead of like telling them that they're wrong, you need to listen to them. You need to listen to those people. Hear them out. Hear everybody out. Because there's always going to be those people that are going to question things. And those people are the people that you need to listen to. You don't have to agree with them, but you need to listen to them and try to understand where they're coming from. And instead of correcting them, give them your opinion and give them your take, and just kind of explain to them what you think. And obviously you can give as much of an explanation as possible, but the worst thing you can do is tell them that they're wrong. Because if you tell them that they're wrong, you're essentially trying to take away from their power. You're taking away. You're basically. It's an attack. That's what it is. It's basically a sign of insecurity in a way, because you're insecure that they've said something that you never believed in until now, and you refuse to accept it. Instead of actually thinking, you know, this person might be right. I should probably listen to this person and learn from this person, instead of just saying that they're wrong. There might be some truth to what they say. In a world where there's a lot of nuance in everything, and you've got to remember the internet, no nuance is allowed on the internet. Oh great, this isn't going well for me. Like, I think it might be a restart this. But yeah, in a world where nuance isn't allowed, you can't really have situations where you're going to have situations where there's going to be open-ended stuff going on. There's going to be theories. There's going to be skeptics. There's always going to be someone who assumes and thinks something. There's always going to be those people, because those people that assume and think something are doing it because that something's potentially there. And people need to be aware of that, because people tend to not be aware of these things. People tend to be innocent of these things. And you need that skepticism, because it's healthy skepticism. Because healthy skepticism makes people prepared and keeps people in line. And makes sure that it keeps people on their toes, and makes sure people remember that people are constantly like watching. People are constantly being skeptical and scrutinizing. You know? It reminds people of that. And that's important. You need to have that reminder, because if you don't, then how do you expect people to change? How do you expect people to want to kind of like essentially, in the case of gaming, release better stuff, you know? Make better games and stuff. How do you expect things to improve if there's no pressure? You know? And that's the thing. You need to have some skepticism so that people are more willing to make alterations and changes. And people will use the term entitled as a form of like backlash to this, and say, oh, you're just entitled because you said something. I mean, obviously, like, let's say I have a criticism about a video game, I'm considered entitled for having a valid criticism about a video game by people. No joke, that's the thing. And like, when that's the case, it's just like, well, if I didn't have this opinion of a video game, like, that means I'd have no opinions on video games. So that would mean that I'd essentially just be a mindless drone. And what sort of conversation can you really have with a mindless drone? You know? You're going to have people that you don't agree with. It's just going to happen, you know? No matter what you do, there's always going to be people that you just don't agree with. But that's fine, obviously. The thing about it is that it's how you deal with people that you don't agree with. I do think it's important to say something, but it's how you say it. Saying that people are wrong just because they feel differently to you, that's the only thing that truly is wrong. Instead of that, what you should be doing is saying, actually, have you considered this possibility? And if they say, yeah, I've considered this possibility, you might actually you'll get either one or two things out of this. You'll either learn more about something that you didn't already know, or you will make them realize something that they didn't know, and you both, either one or the other person, learns from this. Now, if you say that they're wrong, they're never going to learn, and they're just going to hate you. You know, because you're taking away their power of authority over something, which is an attack. You know, that is an attack move, because authority is valuable to people, because authority is power, and people need that power to have any form of influence in the world. Take away that power from people, they're going to be offended and they're going to be upset. That's just how it is. Because, and there's so many, and it's not just about that, it's also because people value their beliefs so much that it will upset people. And the last thing you want to do to anyone in this world, although it sometimes can't be helped, especially nowadays, is upset people. And as someone who's very controversial, that's very hard for me to do nowadays. But we live in a world where everybody gets offended over everything anyways, so you just... I do think that you have to be honest. I do think that it's important to be honest as well. And sometimes that can clash with, like, trying to please people. You can't please everybody. But at the same time, you shouldn't be upsetting people for the sake of upsetting people. You know, in that regard. Like, unless you have a really good reason to, like, say something. Like, I can be very, like, hyperbolic sometimes. I can say things in a way that can really upset people. But a lot of the reason why is because I'm personally infuriated by something to the point that I turn to extremities. And that's about me, not about my... And I willingly choose, at the expense of other people, to be honest. And to say something that is truly insane to a lot of people, just simply to get a point across. So that I can express just how infuriated I am. Because I have to express my infuriation sometimes. I do. It's important to me. Because when things happen that infuriate me, like, I need to vent, and sometimes being hyperbolic helps me ventilate. And that's the thing, it's not about upsetting people, you know? You should never go out of your way to upset people. So if you're having a discussion with someone that you genuinely respect and genuinely like, then you should never say that they are wrong. You should say that you don't agree, yes, and you should say, you know, you should offer like other alternative like possibilities, but you should never say that they're wrong because they still believe in that, you know? It's like, for example, with BioPhoenix, he thinks that the AI in Star Ocean 4 is terrible, which I 100% disagree with him on that. I think the AI in Star Ocean 4 is actually pretty decent. But I don't really think that he's wrong for thinking that. In fact, I kind of understand why he thinks that, because he went through something that is a terrible section of the game that has essentially caused him to experience something that I did not, because I was over leveled for that section because I grinded a lot. He was streaming the game, so he didn't have time to grind, he just had to get through it. So obviously he's going to have a different experience to me, and he's going to get aggravated by something more than I am. And that was the AI. He got more aggravated by the AI than I did. I could tolerate the AI. And because I could tolerate the AI, I was able to enjoy it more than him. But he couldn't enjoy it. Now, Star Ocean 4 has, in my opinion, the best AI in the series. I mean, Star Ocean 5 is pretty good as well, but I would say Star Ocean 4 is up there as well. Like, it's all downhill from there. Like, Star Ocean 6, love that game to death. My favourite in the series, but the AI, yeah, it's not great. Star Ocean 3's AI is horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Star Ocean 1 and 2's AI have their problems too. I think Star Ocean 2 more so than 1. 1's AI isn't bad, I suppose, but 2's can be problematic. Like, I've had situations where Star Ocean 2's AI won't... Oh god, this is one of those tracks where I'm going to end up going the wrong way, isn't it? A lot. Yep. Saw that coming from a mile away. How anyone's supposed to not go the wrong way on this track is beyond me. Because that track goes all over... This track goes all over the place. But, yeah, like... It's one of those things where... Like... He went through an experience that I can totally understand, and I totally get where he's coming from. But I don't agree with him, because I feel that with Star Ocean 4, I had a great time with it. The combat feels really good. The AI, like, say what you like about Sarah, she's annoying as hell, but she's a damn good healer, and she actually heals promptly. Like, there were very few times where I actually felt that I had to go in the menu and use a potion because I just knew that Sarah was going to heal me. Meanwhile, in Star Ocean 3, I always default to using potions all the time. Same with Star Ocean 2. Unless I can, like, manually control Oprah, which is usually the case, what I do, like, because that's usually the easiest way to deal with that situation. That didn't go well. Yeah, this isn't really going well, this race at all. But yeah, like, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that Biomechanics is wrong though, because he went through a different situation, and that's a valid criticism to the game. I don't agree with it though. I don't think that it makes the game bad, just simply because the AI isn't good enough for Biophoenix doesn't mean that the game is terrible in my eyes. I think that there's a lot to like about Star Ocean 4, I think that there's a lot to dislike about Star Ocean 4, but the good bits outweigh the bad bits in my eyes, and for that reason I enjoy the game. But there's people out there who don't seem to be able to understand that, like, they don't seem to be able to get it. They seem to think that just because you have a different opinion to them, they can't seem to understand why, and they just claim that you're just straight up wrong, when in reality you're not. You just had a different experience to them, and because of that, you see things a little differently. And you know, there's many things in games that I hate that a lot of people don't mind, like puzzle solving, for example. You know, puzzles. I hate puzzles in video games. I hate dealing with them. They aren't fun. I tolerate puzzles to a certain degree, but there's a point where I'm just like saying, enough is enough. And I like my games to be straightforward and not cryptic. If the game's going to be all puzzles, like Legend of Zelda and fucking Metroid, and the puzzles outweigh the gameplay, I'm just not going to have fun, because I'm going to spend half the time looking up a guide to do everything I want to do in the game and not make any progress until I utilize the guide to get past the section so that I figure out where I'm supposed to actually fucking go. I hate that. You know, I absolutely do. And that's why I tend to play games that are more action-oriented nowadays and require more dexterity over 4. It's not necessarily because, I mean, I do like the occasional strategic game, like turn-based RPG, for example, but, like, I feel that games that focus more on, like, action and reflexes, I tend to prefer that nowadays, just simply because I'd rather get things done and fail like I'm doing now, because believe it or not, I'm really failing now a lot. I'm not doing very well. I'd rather fail doing this right now than actually not be able to do anything. Like, I'd rather fail at fucking Wipeout Fusion than be stuck on a puzzle in Zelda and just be stood looking at a wall all day, not knowing how to get past that wall, you know? At least every time that I fail in this game, I know that the next try I might succeed, you know? And that's the thing, whereas when I'm completely stuck not knowing what to do and it's a cryptic puzzle, I'm like, I could be stuck for years unless I use a guide, because I won't find the answer until it actually shows up in my face and tells me what it is. And that's the problem, like, I can't progress unless I know the answer, and that's why we have guides, people. That's one of the things that is a great thing about modern gaming. You know, I do want to talk about that topic at some point. I might actually talk about it in this video, I don't know, but the thing is that ultimately everybody feels differently, everyone experiences different things. Like, every time I've done a review, I've always done a review with the attempt of catering to people, like, and catering to different minds and trying to think, what would other people think? Like, with Valve Profile 2, for example, the story of Valve Profile 2, I love the story of Valve Profile 2. I did an entire video analysing Valve Profile 2, which was also partially connected to the narrative, and I did another video that was partially an analysis of the narrative as well of Valve Profile 1 and 2. So obviously, like, to me the story is a masterpiece, but to someone else, I can totally understand why the story of the Valve Profile games can be an absolute pain in the ass, especially if you haven't played both of them. I think you have to play both of them to truly enjoy them, because if you don't play both Valve Profile 1 and 2, then it's very hard to be invested. You need to play both. That's vital. Like, if you play Valve Profile 1 on its own, you're not going to feel fulfilled, necessarily. You're going to have people that won't feel fulfilled. I'll give you an example. Digital Hauntology. He played Valve Profile 1 and he came out of it feeling that it was a bit much, and it wasn't fully worth the hassle that he put into the game. Story-wise, it wasn't really the payoff that he wanted. Like, I don't think he hated the game, he enjoyed the game, but he didn't really, like, it just wasn't worth the hassle for him. And there's a lot of hassle in Valve Profile, but with Valve Profile 2, like, if he played Valve Profile 2, he'd be like, ah, yes, I get it now. I understand now. This makes sense. Now I'm a huge fan. Now I'm a huge fan of Valve Profile and I didn't even know about it. You know? And that's what I was like, that's what I went through. So I totally understand, but I also see it the other side. If you play Valve Profile 2 first without playing 1, you might feel the same way, because it's very hard when you get to chapter 3, it's very hard to stay interested in the narrative because of just what goes on in the narrative at that point. It's not the finest part of the game, and it definitely is a flawed section. But it's a section I enjoy. I enjoy Chapter 3. In fact, without Chapter 3, the game couldn't work. The game wouldn't even exist without Chapter 3. It's such an important chapter of the game. Most of the game takes place in Chapter 3. Particularly gameplay-wise, like, it's a very important chapter, but narratively, not much happens. But in the other chapters, there's a lot of narrative, and it kind of flies by gameplay-wise, like a little too quick, and then eventually it's over before you even know it. But that's because you are so engaged in the narrative that time just flies so fast because of it. And yeah, like, that's the thing. So that's my experience. My experience is I loved every minute of it, but other people's experience might not be the same. You know? Other people's experience might be different, and you've got to be, like, you've got to kind of be open to other people's experiences as a game reviewer. That goes without saying, but people in general are not open to other people's experiences. It's like when you say, oh, I don't like Dark Souls or God Hand because it's too hard. People just respond and say, get good. And it's just like, why? First of all, why? Why should I get good? What's in it for me? Second of all, what do I, like, because that's the thing, what do I get out of getting good? Like, do I get paid for getting good? No? Then why should I get good? You know? Maybe, if the game is annoying, it should have the option to be less annoying, or at least I should be allowed to call it out for the annoying things in the game. Now I'm thinking I'm doing the wrong track. God damn it. You know, like, so if a game annoys me, I'm not going to change my mind if I get good at the game. It's not going to happen. I've had that first experience, I've had that first impression, and it's a terrible first impression, and I just don't like the game. You know, like, even games like Odin Sphere, like, I've completely, like when I played Odin Sphere Lathasia, I changed my mind on it, but even though I changed my mind after playing Lathasia, the remake, I still have in the back of my head the agony and the pain of playing the original Odin Sphere, which will never escape me. That's always going to be there, and it's always going to be a thorn on that game. It's always going to be a scar left on that game. It's always going to be a blemish. I can recognise that a game gets better, because it does. It has gotten a lot better with Lathasia, but it's still a blemish nonetheless, and I still can't get over that. And those first experiences are very important, and that's why I would never say that someone's wrong, and I would never tell people to get good, because if they didn't enjoy their first experience, they're not going to enjoy their second experience. They're just not. You know? That's just how people are. They had a bad experience, they want to move on, and they should move on. You know? If you can't get people into your game within the first, on the first time, you're not going to get them into it on the second time. Now, if there's something that people liked about it, but they didn't quite fully enjoy it on their first time, but go back to it on their second time and love it, that's different. Like, that's why Odin Sphere Lathasia, I fucking love it now, because there was something that Lathasia had. It had potential. Like Star Ocean 3. The same thing could happen with that game. Like, that game has the potential to be amazing. And I know it does, and that's why I try and bring it up all the time whenever I have the opportunity, so that people give that game a go. But the thing is that people need to, like, they need to, like, be more open-minded and be like saying, you know, I can kind of empathize, you know, be a bit more empathetic and think, yeah, this guy's playing a hard game, they're not used to it, they're not used to it like I am. Instead of bitching about it and telling them to get good, tell them that you understand, and, like, you know, let them know that you don't agree, but you understand their side of the coin, that you understand their take. Because at the end of the day, you know, everyone's going to be coming out with it differently, and, you know, but the important thing is, and I feel that as any reviewer, you've got to understand the appeal of some games, even games you don't like. There's always some appeal there, and while it can be difficult to understand the appeal of a game that you don't like, that other people like, that's why I ask questions from people, and that's why it's intriguing when people say that they like a game, and I'm very inquisitive. It's because I want to know why. You know, I always want to know why, because I want to learn. You know, if someone likes something for a certain reason, I want to know why. Like, why do people like Breath of Fire 3 so much? People have told me, oh, it's the soundtrack. I'm like, well, I guess, like, I just really don't like that type of music, because that soundtrack is bland to me. But, like, there's other things, like, maybe there's another reason why. I don't know, like, maybe there's something that I haven't really considered yet. Maybe the game gets better later. I don't know. But it's really hard to know until I ask people what the problem with the game is. And that's the thing. So, like, until I ask people what it is that they like about a game, I won't know. Like, for example, like, RuneScape. I spent a lot of time making an article about MMOs, and I went into RuneScape and I just asked random people, what is it that actually draws you to this game? Why do you play RuneScape? What is the main draw to play RuneScape? And a lot of people answered socializing. People play RuneScape to socialize. I found that out by asking lots and lots of people, and they all said the same thing. It's the social aspect. And that actually got me thinking. It's just like, hang on a minute. So people play this for the social aspect. But this is a game that is all about grinding and stuff, and it's always online DRM. It doesn't really work, but there is a way to make it work. And I was thinking, how can you make a game work that brings out a social aspect? And I ended up kind of not finding an answer, but my answer was kind of Mount and Blade Napoleonic Wars. That was the answer, and I was like, damn, we need more of that. We need more games like that, really, we do. But I think that game's special. It really is special, so yeah. Anyways, guys, I think we've talked about this long enough, so yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.